John?
As long, as long as we're making adjustments here, I would still like to have the 26-week, only one function other than the farmer's market. I'd like to have that stricken so that somebody else comes up with an idea for a parade or something like that. They're not going to run into the first thing that we're going to say is no. And now convince us that maybe we ought to say yes, instead of the first thing that we're going to say is, show me what you got. I think there's a tremendous difference. And people were talking about the people not wanting to have a block party because we were going to add X number of dollars to what was a neighborhood get-together. And I'm saying the same thing is true as if somebody decided that they wanted to have a parade and they look at the rule books and first thing they say is, well, city is going to say no. And I don't think that's right. I think I can count to 4, and I think I'm going to lose, and that's fine.
Well, John,
Can I talk to?
Hang on just a
Go ahead,
second, Jim.
I think that the farmer's market is like if there was any other event that had a permit ahead. Say the Idaho Homecoming Parade gets a permit in January for that event, and someone else wants to get a permit for the same day, that space is already taken. So the farmer's market is basically we've applied for a permit for that, for the morning of those Saturdays that already exists. And if you can come up with a reason why that should be displaced, fine. But otherwise, something's already been set up for that time. That doesn't mean you can't have your parade in the afternoon on Saturday,
Well, no,
or
we
you
don't-
can't have it on another street.
We know that's, when the farmer's market is supposed to close at a specific time. It never does.
Yeah, I would disagree.
it's getting there.
That's fine. We can have our vote, and you guys,
Dan?
Well, John, in the conditions there, I don't remember seeing the homecoming parade mentioned in here, but it does say in section 4, part A, part 2, the proposed parade location, time, and duration cannot interfere, conflict with the farmer's market unless otherwise approved by the city supervisor or his designee. So, to me, that says any parade can do it and maybe it should say the council instead of the supervisor. I don't know. I guess that's up to us if we would rather that, and if Gary didn't want to be the bad guy.
Gary's like the benevolent dictator at this point, the way it's written now.
Well, it's, if you want to change it, it's easy to change. You just strike that out and put council.
Maybe he wants to be the
I have no
dictator.
problem with that.
Walter?
John, the farmer's market is on Main Street with the hours currently being 8 to 1 plus cleanup time by council policy. They're not there because the Arts Department decided that's where we're going to go and that's what we're going to do. The council moved them specifically from the Jackson Street parking lot to Main Street. I would think that it would take something like the U of I homecoming parade to displace the farmer's market during the farmer's market hours. And that's just my position. Farmer's market is a 34-year institution in the city of Moscow and the biggest farmer's market in the state. And for a parade I can't imagine, I don't really want to personally have a part in playing with that.
good enough?
And I guess I got
Let's vote.
another question.
Hey, Dan.
Before anybody moves on this, have we made changes? And is this something that we should bring back to committee before we bring back to council? Or should we just bring it back to council with those changes?
I
think we should send it back to staff,
Well-
get changes.
Well, we haven't done anything yet. 'cause
Right.
We haven't moved and made a motion or voted on anything, so we haven't done anything other than had.
We've had some discussion.
We've had discussion.
And I don't know if we've actually said that we want these changes made to this. I mean, I don't want to move on it and then have somebody come back later and say, well, we wanted to say that instead.
If I may, Mr.
what else you
Mayor,
wanna do?
the ones
I
I've
think I
tracked so
mentioned-
far would be neighborhood block parties. I think the desire seemed to be to remove the insurance requirement and address it through either a release of liability or an indemnity document of some form, or both in this case.
Doesn't it specifically say "or" right now?
That-
So if you provide the insurance or you sign the release.
And
Either
that's
way,
certainly an
yeah.
option to leave it that way. I wrote it that way just because I wanted the council to, I figured you'd want to take pick one or the other, but it could be both.
I have no problem with leaving both in there.
I have no problem
Somebody
if
wants to
somebody
come up
wants
with
to
the jingle to
insure
buy
themselves.
insurance, have at her.
Under section, paragraph D of that section, which is the construction closures, the discussion on the exclusion of city work from the permitting process. And then in the last paragraph of section 6, which is the commercial gain, reworking that a bit to something more along the lines of events for which the primary purpose is not for commercial gain by the applicant or associated parties, something to that effect. So some revisions, I think we need to work with legal
Yeah, I'd
and
rather see it.
rework it. So I would
Rework
I would
before we
suggest,
approve it.
Okay, sounds fine by me.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion that this proposed policy be, remain with staff to work on the comments that they've heard tonight and some of the consensus possibly from the council, and then bring it back to us through committee at a future date.
Certainly do that.
I don't, do we even need a motion or just a sentence?
Yeah.
If you need a motion, I'll second it.
That was a motion.
Well, we can vote on it. It's made a motion to remove it back to staff, and staff will make the adjustments and bring it back before the admin committee. Simple as that. We'll start with John.
Aye.
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 And I.
Okay, so you have direction.